Good afternoon, everyone. If we can please have your attention, we will go ahead and get our luncheon started. I am LaTanya Berryhill. I am the Interim Managing Director for the Michigan Institute for Clinical and Health Research, and I also have the privilege of being a DEI lead.
Hi everyone, it's so good to see you all here today. I'm Stacy Nguyen and I am a training specialist for the Office for Health Equity and Inclusion, and I help support you all through helping LaTanya Berryhill, and we just want to welcome you all. It's so good to see your faces. It's so good to have this in-person event. So we are going to kick things off by actually playing a video here from our Senior Director, Kristen Howard, and I'll have LaTanya Berryhill sort of talk a little bit more about what we're going to see.
So first of all, Kristen is so sorry that she could not be here in person to meet all of you and to say how much she appreciates you, but she sent a video, so let's watch what Kristen has to say.
Good afternoon. As I think you all know, I am Kristen Howard, and I am the Senior Director in the Office for Health Equity and Inclusion. Today, I want to welcome you to our Spark of Hope DEI Leads Luncheon. I want to start this moment by simply saying thank you. I and the entire Office for Health Equity and Inclusion, we are so grateful for each of you and the work you are doing, for your dedication, creativity, thoughtfulness, and your willingness to take on tough challenges in changing our culture and creating an environment where everyone can feel valued and thrive here at Michigan Medicine. Being a part of the inaugural cohort of DEI Leads, because all of you have been a part of the first 5 years of DEI 1.0, was not always easy. In my time here at Michigan Medicine, I've heard from many of you, learned about your challenges, but also learned about the amazing ways in which you have shown up and overcome those challenges. It is exciting to come together in person, and I am so sad that I am not able to be there with you. I hope you all have the opportunity to take advantage of this moment. Get to know someone new, learn about the way in which another department that you haven't yet connected with is doing this work, make a friend, build a relationship with a colleague, and leave with a deeper sense of belonging, even from today. You all have been instrumental in helping to shape the programs we offer and in learning how to best serve all of our faculty, staff, and learners here at Michigan Medicine. You should take a moment to truly appreciate what you have been able to do. Really, take a moment. Appreciate yourself, your labor, your commitment. Celebrate the programs you spearheaded, the conversations you've leaned into, and the way in which you've chosen to show up for your colleagues. As we finish this moment, I want to change the subject a bit, and I want you to envision some of the challenges you face. Where do we still need to see change here at Michigan Medicine? What resources do you wish you had? What supports, whether in personnel or in power, would have an impact on your departments and spheres of influence here at Michigan Medicine? I'm sure there are a million ideas running through your head, and some of them are well documented, and you have already sent the list to me before. In my role, I see so many opportunities to increase our collective impact and lend power to each one of your voices. It is my sincere desire to be a partner, to be a thought partner, a colleague, a friend, and an advocate in moving this work forward. As I come to the end of my very first year at Michigan Medicine, it is my hope that in this next year, I can get to know each of you better and that I can continue to gain your trust, both as an individual and as a leader in this very important space. I hope that we can deepen our partnership to create a deeper sense of value, belonging, and inclusion for each of you and the faculty, staff, and learners at Michigan Medicine. Again, I just want to say thank you I am grateful for you, and I am very much looking forward to the opportunity to partner and be an advocate for each one of you in this work. Have a wonderful luncheon, and as always, go Blue.
So as Kristen said, we want to thank each of you, and we will walk around and personally thank each of you for the amazing work that you've done. Patty and I have had the opportunity to read your reports, and when I tell you we are blown away by the work that you all are doing in your individual departments, it is amazing, and we are so proud of each of you, and we can't wait to be able to share with all of you what each other is doing. So kudos to all of you, and thank you for submitting those reports. We are so happy to get them and to be able to read them.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your lunch. I'm here to introduce to you the next segment of our program, which is called Messages of Hope. During this portion, we're going to have a few DEI leads come up here and talk about how their work in doing DEI has affected their own lives, how we're going to have them talk about how it's impacted their work and their teams. And so I would like to introduce to you, first we have Musa Ibrahim, if you can come up. We'll have Kimberly Gates also speak. And last, but certainly not least, we have Erin Kong. And so I will pass it off to Musa, and if you can introduce yourself, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Musa, like just heard. Thanks, LaTanya, for inviting me to speak today. I'm a research coordinator for the Michigan Clinical Trial Support Office, and I serve as the DEI co-lead with Crystal Delahue, right there. Hi, Crystal. And sorry, I wrote some stuff down, so let me just get to my notes. And as I imagine it's the same for some of you in here, I was initially drawn to this work in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd and the ensuing social unrest. And in the backdrop of the global COVID-19 pandemic, the isolation of quarantine really frustrated me as I felt that the usual avenues for expressing discontent and just making my voice heard in general were shunted. So my frustrations were initially manifested in ways that admittedly weren't always healthy or productive. So when I saw the university was creating a police oversight committee, I realized that could be a way for me to contribute to the betterment of our institution and society as a whole. Although I ultimately was not selected for that position, I received an outpouring of support, including a message of encouragement and solidarity from someone that some of you may know, Linda Tam. And in addition, yeah, Linda Tam, give it up for her. In addition to her message of support, she also mentioned that a small group of colleagues had created a virtual space to chat, share feelings, support, and listen to one another. I jumped at the opportunity, and I don't really remember exactly what was said at that first meeting, but I do remember feeling for the first time in a long while that I wasn't alone. And a few months and a few informal meetings later, Linda approached Crystal and I about formalizing and becoming co-leads for the DEI committee. I felt grossly underqualified to lead a group, but accepted knowing that with their support, I would have an opportunity to experience some self-growth and affect some change along the way. So being a lead has fundamentally transformed how I interact with people, specifically how I listen. It's helped me to realize that each individual is contending with their own personal struggles, known or unknown to the external observer, and the importance of feeling heard. It has made me more aware of my personal limitations and has consequently allowed me to be more open and accepting of receiving help from others. It's given me an opportunity to meet and learn from amazing leads across the Office of Research, including LaTanya, Kim, Bethany, Julie, and others, and derived inspiration from their experiences. And I always like to say that I can only speak for myself and my personal experiences. I don't speak for all African Americans or all research coordinators or all people who ascribe to the Islamic faith. But being a representative of a group and feeling the need to try and represent their thoughts, feelings, and desires has truly made me more compassionate, empathetic, and aware. Ultimately, being a DEI lead to me means doing all that is in my power to ensure that no one else has to feel like they are alone. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Gates, and my path to DEI actually started in 2018 at the Facing Race conference that happened in Detroit, Michigan. And to walk into a space where there was every color, every nationality, every ability, every disability, to sit at a lunch. We had lunch, and there was no one that had a table with all Black people or all white people. There was people that were from every walk of life, and everyone saw each other as a human. They weren't considered by what their differences were, but what they shared as being the same. And I'm like, this is the world that I want to live in. This is a place that I want to work in, where people are there as a community together for the same purpose. And so from there, when I came back, to work, what happened for me is that by nature, I am an introvert. I am also a leader. I'm a planner. I'm a person who likes to be in the back doing the work. I don't like being in the front leading things. But what it did is that I saw that my voice, even though it's quiet, could have influence. And so that's what I got into DEI to do, was to be a voice for others. And so my role, what it gave me was courage. It gave me the courage to speak up, to say something, to disagree with my leadership, to be a voice, to use my voice, to voice my opinions, to be more open, to be more comfortable with being uncomfortable, with making mistakes and learning along the way, to listen completely, to be mindful of the words that I use, to challenge my own beliefs and biases, to become an ally for other marginalized folks, especially those that for disability, has been something that I have become more of an ally with others. It's also created a community for me. So I am not alone. I'm not alone doing this work. I'm along with others, fighting. We laugh, we cry, we commiserate, we encourage, we collaborate together. And joining with others that are just as passionate and motivated and engaged as me, like LaTanya and Steve and Julie and Bethany and many others in this DEI work. And what it's done is it's brought joy too. It's been joy for me because as I see other Black and brown faces on these Zoom meetings over the last couple years that look like me, it feeds my spirit, it feeds my heart. I've been in a role as a supervisor in my department for now over 17 years. I am the only Black female supervisor in my department, and I have been that way. I've been the only Black female in the role that I have. I'm the only one. And so oftentimes I have walked around this, when we first moved here to NCRC, I went years before I saw anyone at work that looked like me. And how lonely and isolating that was. And to get on a meeting and see other people that look like me, it gave me hope. It made me feel like I didn't have to code switch. I didn't have to pretend and say things a certain way. I could laugh and we could say things and we knew exactly what each other was thinking just because of the culture that we share. And so DEI has been a place for me to grow and to develop and to thrive. And the other thing it's done is it's a way of celebrating with all of you who are also in this work. And as we're sharing in our victories of what we've been able to do in our different departments. And even as of yesterday, I don't know if you had word, is that it was announced to the Michigan Medicine leadership by Dr. Terry Gribb that to add a diversity statement to all of our Michigan Medicine job postings are effective immediately. And it was created, by the hiring subcommittee group that I'm a part of. And what the diversity statement says is that you insert your department name, is firmly committed to advancing inclusion, diversity, equity, accessibility, and belonging, which are core to the culture and values of the Michigan School Office of Research. Our community supports recruiting and cultivating a diverse workforce as a reflection of our commitment to serve the diverse people of Michigan and the world. We strive to create a work culture where each team member feels respected, valued, and safe. And so, in conclusion, I would like to highlight some of the things. I couldn't do this work without my team that works along with me, and they've been committed from the very beginning. Katie Brinson and Erin Himrod, LaWanda Carter, Dr. Lucy Kennedy, and Renee Jemilich. And so what we've done in this time is that we've actually created a required 4 DEI core classes that all of our staff members have to take within a 5-year period of time, plus 1 elective every year. And we've been supported by our director to be able to institute this. Every year, in the last 3 years, we've done Adopt a Family at the holiday season, and our entire unit has supported a family during the Christmas time. Our recent victory was language translation. We have a lot of lab staff that come through for training, and a lot of them ESL is difficult for them. They're ESL staff, and all of our training documents are in English. And when there's errors and when we need to retrain, we put it back in English again. And so what we've done is created a way through the upgrade of Office 365. We've been able to do language translation. And so we're able now to communicate in the native language of our staff members and also the lab personnel to be able to communicate this very important information they need to know in a language that they can understand, so that we're being inclusive and that we're welcoming and that we're ensuring that we're doing everything we can to make sure that they know how to take care of the animals properly. So I'm very grateful for being in this role of a DEI lead, and I thank you for this chance to share.
I don't know about following those two, my colleagues. So well done. Thank you. I'm Erin Kong. I'm from the Department of Social Work. Just a brief intro. I identify with she, her pronouns. I am a Korean American first-generation student. I'm a mom, a daughter, a friend, a colleague to many of you. So, our identities and our intersectionalities, I really appreciated, Kimberly, what you said is you are often the only person in the spaces you are. There are not many AAPI leaders in general, at least in my spaces, and certainly not actually even in the Department of Social Work. And so that feeling of belonging, right, that idea of are we representing the communities that we serve, can just be a powerful thing. So this room in and of itself is very encouraging. So thank you to all the organizers and everyone here. We are a health system, and so mnemonics is what we do. And so when I was thinking a lot about what I wanted to share as far as the impact of being a DEI lead, I actually think I was part of the DEI lead before it was called DEI lead. I can't remember what we were first called. It was before the implementation leads. It was something else. I kept coming back to these same 4 words, and they happen to spell out give, so I'm going to go with it. So it's grace, inclusion, validation, and empathy. And so just a few things on each of the one when I wrote my notes down here. Grace to me, spirituality is an important part for me as well. And grace, I was always taught, is giving something to someone that they don't deserve, or sometimes not giving something to someone that they do deserve it. And I was thinking about this in a DEI space, and you think about giving forgiveness, granting forgiveness, or at least understanding to someone, especially in a DEI space where maybe our immediate knee-jerk reaction is to not grant that, can be graceful. But it's also about giving something to them when they're not sure that they even deserve it, right? So assuming positive intent of someone when we're in these spaces. And I think professionally, I'm not talking about the overt racist, which I've had. I've had racist things yelled at me on the streets and outside of Michigan Medicine, and to be honest, inside Michigan Medicine, so we can talk about that later. But I'm not talking about the overt things, right? We need to address that. I'm not saying you need to just take it. But I'm talking about the things that are like, hey, that's not okay, let's do better. I still have to keep working with you. We have to have a professional relationship. And I think grace is something that practicing more of it couldn't hurt. From an inclusion perspective, you think about that true sense of a belonging. I know we're talking a lot about the base kind of initiatives, but what does belonging mean to people? It's not just a reflection of who we are. It's truly understanding. It's not a seat at the table anymore. It's actually an invitation to speak, right? It's a validation of what we say. It's amplifying the voices that are at that table. So we have to move beyond this initial kind of surface level of like, oh, you belong, you got invited, right? We have to do better. And I think we're doing that. We're moving in the right direction, but I know that there's always room for growth. The V in give, validation, absolutely through representation, but also acknowledging that we are not monoliths. I appreciated, I think it's Musa, if I'm saying that correctly. I appreciated that statement at the end, right? That we are not monolithic and we are all not the same. So I do not speak on behalf of. I am also a transracial adoptee, so there's a lot of assumptions about me and around maybe Korean American culture that I think standing up here you may automatically have had, yet my parents are white. And so with that comes a lot of different, my upbringing was very different. So I think just recognizing and seeing truly, even from a social work perspective, the person in front of you, humanizing someone and who that is, and not making those kind of stereotypes and biases and assumptions are so powerful. And then the E in empathy. I have been very fortunate in my role as one of the social work leaders to participate, unfortunately, in recognizing the unfortunate events that continue to bombard us. And in years past, OHEI and leaders, executive leaders in the health system, but everyone up through the ranks has participated in events to honor the unfortunate things that are happening. I remember one of the first things we did was a memorial for the Orlando Pulse shooting. I remember we held a memorial for the Tree of Life Synagogue event. And those spaces that were just held to show empathy to our colleagues that, even if I didn't identify with some of those folks that were impacted, but to show and stand in solidarity with other people. We had the AAPI Atlanta shootings that we came up on the 1-year anniversary on March 16th just now. And the amount of outpouring of other people who are not AAPI, they don't identify as such, but would reach out and just say, I don't know what to say. I just want you to know I'm here. That's okay. I just want to normalize that behavior at Michigan Medicine to say, you don't have to be worried about what to say, just say something. It's powerful. So I want to just say that as a DEI lead, we are afforded as a lead the space, kind of our sphere of influence. I think Kristen Howard kind of mentioned that. And what I think is really cool is together, collectively as DEI leads, we then expand and amplify our sphere of influences across the institution. I don't know if anyone has seen those videos of those birds that fly. I think it's called murmuration. And they all fly together, and there's a really cool pattern. They're all individually flying, but then collectively, they also fly together. I wish I had a video to show you. I'm not doing it justice. But I'd love to see that continue to spread as DEI leads, that we bring more people in the fold, that they continue to fly the way we want this institution to be collectively, more powerfully. I think that is where we need to be because it absolutely impacts patient care. It absolutely is life and death for some colleagues and for patients and families that come through our doors. And so that's from a health equity perspective. Again, a whole long talk. I won't go into that, but I think it has tremendous impact and then impact on us as caregivers as well and providers in the space and colleagues. So I'll end with this because I'm a social worker. Self-care and wellness. Self-care is not I just watch Netflix or, what do you do for self-care? I ride a bike. That can be. But what I'd really encourage you to think about is, I recently listened to something around completing your stress cycle. And so we're stressed, right? But oftentimes that fight or flight, if we don't decompress fully and finish out the cycle, you're just holding on to it. And then you're holding on to that, and the next thing comes. You're holding on to it and holding on to it. So if there's anything that you can do as a DEI lead, this work is hard. We are doing this on top of oftentimes 1.5 full-time jobs, maybe for many of us, right? But this is important, and you all are here to commit in it. And I appreciate that Tanya told me there's a lot of new leads here. So if I can be of any support or a listening ear during this, because this can be hard, please don't hesitate to reach out. Make sure you complete your stress cycles. Because when I meet as a social worker, caregivers who are caring for their chronically ill or acutely ill family members, we're constantly saying, if you don't take care of yourself, you are not going to be in a position to take care of other people. And I would encourage you from a DEI perspective as well, this is the long game. So anything you can do to invest in yourself is good. It's not selfish, because what we want is for this to spread throughout the kind of Michigan medicine community so that anyone's here feels the same sense of belonging and inclusion. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and have a good rest of your day. Thanks.
I want to thank Musa, Kimberly, and Aaron. Let's give them a round of applause. We are so lucky to have you as part of our community. The next portion of our program, we are going to have Michael Harrington, my great colleague, and Peggy Wright come up here to share messages of appreciation. Thank you.
I'm so very grateful to be part of this expression of our appreciation to all of you. Again, I'm Michael Harrington. I'm part of the OHEI team. We ask leaders and managers across Michigan Medicine to express their appreciation of you. And here are some of the examples of what was shared. Helping to maintain our focus in DEI in all aspects of care for patients and the internal workings of our team, helping to connect with our internal DEI work groups. Creating a safe space for discussions, introduce new concepts, embedded DEI elements in everyday department functions, hiring toolkit, M&M and grand rounds. Has been a tireless advocate for making diversity, equity, and inclusion a priority within our department and beyond. Their efforts have transformed the way our organization discusses DEI. Rather than worrying about saying the wrong thing and being criticized, we can have our courageous conversations because our goal is to help each other learn and understand. We have moved beyond the ingrained norms of many organizations. As just one example, during the hiring process, we consider how candidates will bring unique perspectives and their experiences to our culture rather than whether they will fit into our culture. And with that, I'll pause and introduce my friend and colleague Peggy Wright to share some more statements of appreciation.
Thank you, Michael. It's just a pleasure to be here with all of you who serve so well our institution, each other, your families and friends. So I'm truly feeling blessed to be here with all of you. Thank you. My messages are from the leadership. Our DEI lead is leading the effort to have regular departmental discussions, which we call quarterly conversations, leading work on our pipeline and hiring practices, overseeing the group, putting DEI into our curriculums. Thank you. Another says, our DEI lead has created novel initiatives that have fostered a sense of belonging and made employees feel that their voices truly matter in conversations. Thank you. We appreciate our DEI lead for informing us of DEI activities and going above and beyond to create an inclusive environment for our team. Our lead is great about sending us additional information when we express an interest in something that is mentioned in one of our staff meetings. Thank you. Another one, our leads have instilled in us that ongoing assessment and subsequent actions are what drive improvements in our culture. Thus, their ability to promote the conditions whereby honest conversations and listening are our norms is an incredibly remarkable contribution to our department. We thank you. And with that, I have the pleasure of introducing my colleague and friend, Reggie Beasley.
Thank you, Peggy. Just want to say, as DEI Leads, thank you for your service. I'm going to go ahead and read some messages. She consistently goes above and beyond to not only stay informed of everything happening around us, but also finds innovation, new ways to inspire our team to be better. More recently, we have been working to develop a stronger, more cohesive hiring program with onboarding and offboarding resources for our staff. Her attention to detail and recommendation for diverse, equitable, and inclusive hiring will not only benefit our own team, but also has enough impact to potentially be considered within different areas. Kudos to everything you do to ensure that our team is well represented and informed. We appreciate you. Creating multiple programs to raise awareness and including a team to work with her. Another example is the 3-2-1 challenge. Leading and engaging more staff in DEI initiatives for our CFL department, bridging communication between Michigan Medicine, professional development opportunities, and other initiatives. Being visible, representing us on EC and other venues, leading a climate survey of all people in the department, and getting others to be involved. And that's the last message. And now I would like to pass it over to Dr. Brandon Lucas, who will talk about the Youth Summit Program. Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Pleasure to be here with you all today. I am inspired by the stories that have been shared of impacting your various spaces. I know it is heavy and hard work, and I know it wasn't in your core duties of your job description. And so I celebrate you for really stepping up in ways that you didn't have to help us move DEI forward in Michigan Medicine. So I just want to acknowledge that first. When I heard the comments mentioned, the stories that were shared, the thing that came to mind is representation matters. As a person who trained here at the University of Michigan, I actually have my master's in electrical engineering and my PhD in applied physics. Believe me, I understand what it means to be the one, right? Michigan did not offer a lot of people who looked like me, who identified with me in my training here. And that's what actually informed my desire to move into a space of health equity and inclusion to try to diversify the pathway into the medical field. With that being said, we have an amazing opportunity we have created in partnership with various departments throughout Michigan Medicine called the Youth Summit. At the Youth Summit, we'll have middle school students from Washtenaw County, 6th to 8th grade, that we'll bring into the big house for a full day of interactive activities, learning about what we do here in the healthcare setting. We're looking to expose them to professions, not just the physician pathway, we all know they hear about that, but all the other amazing pathways that exist in Michigan Medicine that results in the care that our patients ultimately receive, the high standard of care that we offer here. So we are looking to also create opportunity for our colleagues who are connected to students that are eligible. So we have eligibility criteria. We're looking for students who are first generation, who are maybe had experience with the foster care system. We're trying to find diversity in various ways, so we have eligibility criteria, but we want to make sure that the folks within our community of Michigan Medicine that are connected to those students have the chance to bring them to this event. That's where we need your help. We don't want to send this out to the network of Michigan Medicine through the electronic channels that we know only few of us have access to, right? We want to make sure that we're doing this in a grassroots way so that folks who don't see email every day learn about this opportunity, and if they have a child that qualifies, can sign up for it, all right? So what you can expect to receive then in the coming weeks is a communication that will have a couple flyers attached, asking you to be part of our team to reach out to individuals in your respective spaces throughout Michigan Medicine and let them know that this is an event that's happening and they are welcome to sign up their child if they are eligible based on criteria that will be stated. Again, we really need you to, help us find those that really need that support, right? This is an equity initiative. This is meant to make sure those that need it most get the access to those opportunities. And so we know that you are very much centered on equity in your work and you understand that goal of ours. So in partnership, we're asking for you when you get that email, make sure that you're sending it to the folks, communicating face-to-face, however you can do it, right? But go into the spaces of Michigan Medicine that I don't even know exist, quite honest with you. Parts of the hospital that I've never seen. But just try to do your best to make that aware, make folks aware that could possibly benefit from this the most, as I said. And if you have any questions, or the other ask I have for you, we're looking for keynote speakers as well for the event. So if you have somebody that you think would be amazing and inspirational for the students to hear from on that day, feel free to find me, give me a name. We're kind of finalizing who those individuals will be for that event. And so I want to know from this community, if you've been inspired by somebody's story, and you know that story could inspire somebody else at the middle school level. Again, this is middle schoolers, so they're a little different than us. Middle schoolers, how you inspire them, it's a little different. But if you know somebody who you think can really serve that role for us, let me know, and we'll reach out and see if we can find a place in the program to use their unique talent and gifts. Again, I thank you all for your partnership. I thank you all for your commitment to DEI, and I look forward to continuing to partner with you as we move forward with U-Summit. Thank you. Now, I'd like to welcome Dr. Brown to the podium to wrap us up. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas, and thank you everyone for being here today. So exciting to see people in 3 dimensions. I think this is the first week that I've done that. It's always an honor to see you on Zoom and to see the impacts of your work. I think that's so incredibly important. Some of you have been doing this DEI work before it was DEI Leads, and some of you are very new, and I want to thank each and every one of you. We started this journey about almost 6 years ago. Actually, really 7, because we started in the planning phase before we even started the DEI 1.0. And a lot of the work started with just, initially diversifying the workforce and making sure that we have more brown and black people, more representation and people. It was initially brown and black folk initially, but we grew as time made us change, as different life events made us change. Aaron Kong also alluded to the API incidents. We grew because of that. We grew because of the pulse. And we had I'm just thinking back over the last 6 or 7 years, the things that we've done and the things that we acknowledged as a group. It's not just the Orlando Pulse incident, but it's the noose incident that happened here. It's the Victor's Care and how we were concerned about how that would impact our patients of color. Is the Charleston, South Carolina church killings. It's the Tree of Life, as was mentioned earlier today, the Atlanta API. It's Ukraine as well. Throughout that, what I've seen with all of your help, because we've had to wrap our arms around this, and Michigan Medicine is a big place, and my arms are big but not that long, is that you have all been our extension of our arms to help hold space for this in your areas, especially throughout the pandemic, where it was sometimes easier and sometimes harder. So I want to say thank you and give you all a big hug for that. Speaking of the pandemic, that was another challenge for us. It was a time when we couldn't come together and we couldn't have this release of whatever tension, and to see people who kind of have the similar values and concerns and motivation for moving forward. Yet we still worked hard and we were still there. Those are some of the most challenging times for me, so I imagine there were some of the most challenging times for you. How do you have conversations about racism after the George Floyd killing? How do you have conversations when you're not in the same room? When you're at home and someone else is on Zoom and you don't even know how they're reacting. Yet you all did those things and you held space. And I heard from your leaders that you did amazing work. I'm appreciative of our OHEI team as well, because we, Michael and Clarissa at that time developed a toolkit so that we could have those conversations. But you're the ones who had to do it. And it's easier said than done. And I know from working with a lot of the chairs that those conversations were hard for them as well. As we had the evolution of our DEI, we went from no plan at all initially to having a plan, to having it being about a certain segment of diversity, to initially a lot of our conversations about fixing people. It's just the natural development, the maturity of DEI work that you have all helped us shepherd through, to now having leadership statements, to now having hopefully leadership really believing those statements. And now beyond talking about like race and gender, we're talking about LGBTQ and disability and AAPI. And those are things that we feel comfortable getting up here and talking about. I remember when I started the Advancing Asians in Leadership, which Erin now leads, thank you for helping out with that, or that transition of that group. But I remember listening to their stories. We would go around the room and listen to the stories, and very interesting hearing about Japanese faculty members whose parents or grandparents were in internment camps, and some of the racism that some people felt when they moved to this country. And it just made me realize that we have more in common than we don't at times, even though we have different identities. And it also made me realize that while we were shining the light in certain areas, which was important, that there were certain areas of need who were afraid to speak up because they didn't want to take away the light. And so what I realized at that time is that the sun is huge and there's enough light for all. So, this group can help us do that. Continuing on, as we have grown in our development, we've had a lot of conversations about belonging and being our authentic selves. I think LaTanya helped develop a tool about the Belonging series, and there's quite a few of those, so that we can figure out how do we show up and be our authentic selves and come to work and wear our hair the way it comes out of our head and other things. To developing the Anti-Racism Oversight Committee, which is beyond just for people of color. Everything that's coming out of AROC is good for all of us. And where I'm hoping that we're going, in our DEI 2.0, which you're a big part of, is in addition to our big push for belonging, is to really, instead of evaluating the people for their issues, is to really look at our systems and structures here at Michigan Medicine and help our leaders understand to not fix individuals, but to fix the systems and structures so that all of us can thrive. So, as was stated earlier, this is hard work. Take care of yourself. Someone asked me what I had to do to be well last year during the pandemic, and I told her like the 5 things. She said, "Oh my goodness, that's so much." But you have to do whatever you need to do to be well in this space, because many times we carry the burdens of so many others who I know everyone comes to you with their concerns about what's going on in your area, and you carry that burden, and you need to figure out how do you lift that off and you make good of that. That's my hope, that we can help you out with that. So I hope that you take care of yourselves first. And additionally, as we're moving forward, to continue to challenge and disrupt the inequities in the system. This is kind of a disruptive innovation in some ways. So this is good disruption. So I hope that we continue to do that. Help people show up to be their authentic selves. And as we're coming out with our building toward belonging, Stacy's done an amazing job, and you'll all be getting this training very soon. It's really incredible. I've never seen something so awesome as far as diversity training. We need to make sure that we're living that belonging. And so someone said, that some of the things that we can do, as you're bringing new people into your community, as you have people in your community, what actions are we doing to make sure that they feel that they belong? And how are you helping your leaders? There's so many blind spots that we have that we can all be very supportive. As was stated by Kristen in our opening, the vision of OHEI is to create a world where everyone feels valued and can thrive. And I'm really, really happy that over the last 6 and 7 years that all of you have been a part of that. I feel different today than I did before 6 and 7 years ago, and it would not have been possible without you. One of the things we've always said is that it's not a person or an office that does diversity, equity, inclusion work. It's like the Michigan football team. It's the team, the team, the team. So you are the team. Thank you very much. I want to say go blue, but before you clap, I want to invite back Stacy and LaTanya Berryhill. Thank you.
Are there enough thank yous? There are not enough thank yous. But once again, we want to thank you all for coming today and for all of the work that you do. And now we're going to give away those beautiful plants. We're going to have a raffle. And then on your way out, please make sure that you stop at the gift table and pick up a gift that we have for you. But I also would like it if all of you could please turn around and face Miss Sue, who organized this event. And I want to make sure that she gets her flowers today. Thank you so much, Sue. So. Yes, you can. In case you did not hear her, she wants to thank the entire OHEI team for the amazing work that they did today and that they always do. So OHEI team, thank you. We love you.
Okay. All right, so for the raffle, we have Nicolette Frank. Grab your plant, you got it.
Kimberly Gates.
Nancy Broadway.
La Vida Roach.
That table over there.
Musa.
Oh, you'll take, okay, Crystal will take Musa's.
Saima Khan.
How many more? All right, the next person that's taken home a plant, we got Katina Sims.
And now we have Megan Lawson.
Car is next.
Andrew Staley, you get a plant.
That whole table cleaned up, aren't you?
Stephanie Patterson, you get a plant.
Carrie Miller.
Mary Banks, come on down.
How many more do you have? I think that's it. I think you were just the last. Six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14. 13. Okay, this is 14. And is this the last one? We have one more. Kimberly Ward, you get a plant.
All right, last but certainly not least, we have, is it Lana Campbell or Lane?
Oh! You get a plant.
So once again, we just want to thank you for coming today and for all that you do. Please make sure that you get your bag on the way out, and we will be seeing you in a couple weeks for our April DEI meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.